All right, so Matt Vader 74, you wanted to talk about zombies today.
Hey, yeah.
And there's a brand new Netflix original series from South Korea, and South Korea has been pumping out some really good stuff lately. And this series is called All of Us Are Dead, and it's basically about high school students stuck at a school during a zombie outbreak and all the trauma that they are forced to go through. And it's based on a webtoon. In fact, let me see if I can bring it up here real quick so people can kind of get an idea of what a webtoon is. So this is the Netflix show, but then we have this, which was the original version of it, and then it was called something like We're at School or This Is Our School or something like that. And if you just scroll down, it's just kind of like this very simple kind of comic.
This is the English version.
Yeah, the English version. But the Netflix version is live action, and it has a big ensemble cast of young Asian actors who all look exactly alike.
They really do. It's crazy.
Like I have a hard time following like who each character is, because
that might be the most racist thing I've ever.
That's
heard.
what I was just gonna say that. But it's true. I can't tell them apart.
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm awful. I'm a terrible person, and I mean no offense to anybody.
I wish I knew Korean.
And I can't remember anyone's name.
I can't either.
Like they all have their Korean names, which is fine. But like I can't remember. Like I remember the one guy's name means like barefoot.
Well, that's his nickname.
That's his nickname.
That's his nickname.
Yeah.
His actual name is like Hugh Ken or something like that. Because I've dude, like I haven't been to bed yet. I've been watching that damn show thanks to Vader since I started.
Yeah, but before we get into it, Danny, Vader, why don't you give us a breakdown of what the show is and what it's about and how many episodes we're going to be talking about?
So we're only going to be talking about briefly the first 2 episodes today. There's 12 episodes in the Netflix series. I think you kind of covered what it's about. It's about a zombie outbreak in South Korea. It's starts, and I'm assuming it goes out of the high school, but
it's
maybe
the most ridiculous origin to a zombie virus I think I've ever seen.
A zombie outbreak in a high school, basically starting with the science teacher trying to cure his son's bad attitude or something. I don't really know how he did it, but
so the science teacher is kind of like a disgraced microbiologist who was forced to take a high school science position because all of his colleagues laughed him out of his career. But his son was getting bullied at high school. And so he used the adrenaline glands of frightened mice to bioengineer a virus that was meant to heighten aggression so that his son could stand up to the bullies without getting picked on. And instead of going through trials of testing it on animals, he just pumps it right into his son, who then bites his wife. And so both his wife and his son become zombies. And he finds a way to kind of cure it. And in the very first episode, though, his son is being bullied on a rooftop by a group of kids who were responsible for his bullying previously. And while he's getting beaten up, the fear thing kicks in and he zombies out. And basically he falls off the roof of the building. It looks like he's dead. The father comes to the hospital and kills him again, sort of. It's not really clear.
With the Holy Bible.
With the Holy Bible,
yes. Beats him with
Holy
the Bible.
And beats him with the Bible to death. At least we think it's to death because it looks like he's not quite dead. These zombies are very hard to kill unless you shoot them in the neck with an arrow, apparently.
Head.
But
I think it's
not even the head.
Not even the head. It's like the
the adrenal gland. You have to hit the adrenal gland or something like that. But like it's kind of funny because in this world in which this zombie outbreak is happening, the movie Train to Busan is a thing.
And so it's mentioned a couple times.
So all the kids are like, man, this is just like Train to Busan.
One of the greatest zombie movies ever made.
Yeah, and you know, in most zombie movies, people are like, what is this? I don't know what's going on. But in this movie, it's like, oh yeah, these are zombies. Yeah. It's like we gotta fight zombies. What's going on?
These aren't your shambling George Romero zombies. These are straight up 48 what's that movie with where they're in
28
London.
days later.
Yeah,
More like World War Z.
Yeah.
It was kind of the vibe I was getting, because they fucking run. They've got power.
The rage zombies.
And then there's I don't remember where the thread starts, because
I mean,
how many episodes have you seen?
They're basically just like Train to Busan zombies.
Yeah.
Right? So they're fast. They're vicious.
You got to remember,
it's almost like they're rabid, you know.
Yeah,
and it's weird because they can bite through clothing. Like there's many examples of like people getting bit through their clothes and getting infected, where you would think that the clothing would offer some type of barrier to that. Yeah. But it's weird. But you get to know like this big cast of characters. Not all of them are teenagers. There are some adults in the mix. But
there's a couple adult teachers, principals, nurses types, but
parents.
they're all morons. They're all idiots. And
except for the one teacher, except for the English teacher.
Yeah, and the show is about the kids and how they're dealing with it. The first episode, where we get introduced to all the characters, basically, it's just
a lot of teen angst.
Yeah, a lot of teen angst, a lot of this is the bully, this is the class president, this is the the roles are set. And let me tell you something, man. These cliques that these kids have in Korea, I don't know. I couldn't go to school these days, at least not in South Korea. I would just, it would be brutal.
I
such a mean kids.
Different from our schools out here, really, but
probably not.
When you hit me up, and this is no lie, because the first episode, I'm glad we're talking about too. Because you texted me like, man, I'm 10 minutes in, I'm already loving it. Yeah. And then like
then it dropped off a cliff, right?
Dude, right? Yeah, it was so boring. And I had to and so I was watching it without my girl, because I'm on this weird my circadian clock is completely off. So I'm sleeping at weird hours. And so I woke up at midnight. And so obviously she was in bed asleep. So I started watching this show. I'm checking all my texts and stuff, and I started watching this show. And because it kind of it goes like, it's like starts out awesome, and then it's like all this damn CW shit I don't give a fuck about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it gets like, and then it ramps back up, and then episode 2 is like, and man, it just gets way better from there.
Yeah,
I can't wait to talk about more of them.
I've only watched the first 2 episodes, but I can say the first episode starts out good. It slows down with all the exposition and the character introductions, and episode 2 immediately ramps it up, just right from the get-go. So just bear with it, it'll be fine.
Definitely. Because what happened was like at I want to say the 30-35 minute mark, because all of these episodes are over an hour long. They're not they're
long episodes.
And I mean, not including, it's an hour of screen time, not including the credits. They're like
there's no commercial breaks. Nothing.
This isn't made by Lucasfilm, so we're getting actual episodes.
So. And it just I got about 35 minutes in, I paused it. I was like fuck, because you asked me to watch it for the show today, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this, man. It started out good, blah blah blah.
Well, so, I only asked you to watch the first episode.
That's true. But in your defense,
if it sucked, we wouldn't keep watching it.
So I go into the bedroom, and like I accidentally wake up the girl, and she's like, "Hey, what's up?" And I'm telling her like, "What's up?" And she's like, "If you make me some coffee, I'll come hang with you." I was like, "All right, cool." So I did that. So like, at least I'm not alone watching this bore fest at this point, because it was a good 10-15 minutes where I was just like, I was really about to give up. And then holy shit, man, we couldn't stop watching it. Like, she was bummed that I had to get on the podcast. We literally just finished episode 6 right before I hopped in to talk to you guys, because we just can't stop watching it. It's really good.
Well, that's a sign of a good binge show.
Yeah, no, it's really good. And there's
real quick before we continue our discussion, we got a super chat from Joker Voice, $5. Thank you so much, Joker, a friend of the podcast. He says, check out Salty Nerd Club for exclusive merch and stuff. Also, S&P Discord, great community and a variety of topics. #keep talking.
#keep
we're going to keep talking about.
Yes,
all of us are dead. Yeah. So I watched the first 2 episodes and the beginning of episode 3 because I needed to see what happened after the cliffhanger from episode 2.
Right? And there's a lot of those. I love how they do that. Like, I would hate it if this show was like not bingeable, because oh my god, you like, and they do a lot of, I don't want to spoil anything. They do a lot of change and stuff. It's cool.
Yeah, and so like the first episode is a lot of setup after the initial kind of introduction, and I had to watch it twice in order to really understand what was going on, who all the characters were, what their relationships to each other are. And in episode 2, they actually introduced like new characters that you might have seen in the background, but they didn't really focus on in the first episode. And so you're just kind of like, who are these people? Am I supposed to know them or something like that?
I literally said that out loud to Cece a couple times, man.
But it's kind of funny because in the first episode, they have one shot of the archery team, the high school archery team, practicing for a match. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, those guys are coming back in a big way. And then in episode 2, they're coming back from the match to the school, and then they see all the zombies. And sure enough, like the archers are just going through the school, like fucking picking zombies off.
I mean, I was loving it, man. And did they do that different in like? Did you notice at the end of it, their bows like flip? Is that like a?
Those are marksmanship bows. I think they're like the bows they use in the Olympics and stuff. They got all kinds of weird like cool attachments and everything to them.
Oh, okay.
I have to say I really love Korean zombies for some reason. These things are so next level wild and gnarly, and the way when they do when they do the flip, right, when they go from normal to
the transition with the transition,
transition that they do is absolutely incredible. And I don't know if it's CGI or if they just got actors that are really good at twitching, or if it's a combination of both.
Oh, there's
the one scene in episode 2 where they put the girl in the CAT scan and she like wigs out and does the flip thing.
Well, she literally bends backwards.
Yeah,
I lost my mind.
And then she's laying on her heels.
She's crawling through the hospital. I'm like, what's going
Super
on?
fast too. It was like,
it was crazy.
Broken Birds. We are discussing All of Us Are Dead from Netflix. It's a Netflix original series from South Korea. You can see it on Vader's screen behind him.
Yeah. It actually just released on Netflix yesterday.
Yeah.
And that's why we're talking about it today, because we wanted to like get on this while we had a chance to make it so
freaking good. So Amanda, I know you'll love it, or Broken Birds, I know you'll love it. I used to do the Walking Dead viewing parties here in Vegas for like 7 years, and you know, I kind of fell out of love with it when a certain thing, you know, when they basically killed Carl, because you know anyway. So I stopped. That's literally the last episode I ever watched. I was like, okay, guys, it was a fun ride. We're not doing these parties anymore. But Amanda used to come to him all the time, dressed up, loves the zombie shit. She might have even hung out with The Walking Dead a little bit longer than me. So I know she'll love this, because this has made me. I love this show. Like, I'm literally gonna finish it as soon as
I actually feel like this is like the precursor to Train to Busan. It's like this happened, and then Train to Busan.
Oh, and they referenced it like
I know that they reference it, but like that, it just feels so congruent with that movie.
Yeah.
Like if you watch this and just in your head canon, you're like, oh, this is the Train to Busan universe that this is happening.
Right.
Because the zombies act very similar.
Yeah, I enjoy the fact that they're a little bit self-aware when it comes to that kind of stuff. You know, the referencing. You know, I mean, listen. I've talked about this before in other episodes of the podcast and stuff. I am quickly becoming a big fan of South Korean cinema and television. They're putting out some really good stuff, man, and it's the complete polar opposite of what they're putting out here in the West.
It is, dude. Well,
there's so much good stuff.
They're not afraid. Like, I mean, they do crazy shit, dude. Like, so in the first episode, I don't know if you guys picked up on this, and it gets expanded upon, you know, later, and because of my memory, I don't want to say something I shouldn't. Right. But I know in the first episode they do this terrible thing, and these are supposed to be kids in school. Terrible. And there's this terrible shit you would never see in American cinema, and they don't show it, but they allude to basically a girl getting raped. You know, and that. Just right off the get-go, it was just like, whoa, shit, what am I in for? You know?
Yeah. That's we got to that scene. I'm like, wow, this is next level. But you know, but they
do that to really, really make you hate that guy.
Right. You know, that's what I was just going to say.
Oh,
right?
Sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. Oh, no, you're good.
I'm just excited because it's rare I get this excited about, because I was like, especially when I paused it and I was like, I'm so glad I kept watching it. Like, I just need people to understand that. Please just get through the first episode and it's worth it.
South Korea has no chill. That is very, very true. But you know, I kind of appreciate it.
I do too. I miss it. It's like, you know, and
If you guys remember, years ago we were talking about this South Korean zombie show called The Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
The Kingdom.
Yep.
Where it was like feudal Korea times, where they were fighting against zombies, and that show was amazing too.
Yeah, dude, the Space Sweepers, the Squid Game, everything I've seen, all the Train to Busan, everything has been good. I mean, I even Parasite, I even love that movie.
Mm-hmm.
That was good, So I think it's I think they might have a little. I don't know. They're not like as woke as we are, or they're new to this with they're a young nation.
I don't think
to us.
I don't think South Korea gives a shit about any of that woke stuff.
Exactly.
I really don't.
And that like removes the ceiling they have on their creativity, which I can okay, just because people make art that's got bad shit in it, that doesn't make it a bad thing. You know what I mean? Like we should, like this whole Slave One thing. Don't even get me started on that renaming of that shit. It's like, seriously, like what's next? Like we're gonna stop teaching kids slavery and happened in school?
He just beat his kid's ass with the Holy Bible.
Yeah. And he drops the Bible. Yeah. Smashed his skull in.
Yeah. So yeah, South Korea, man. I'm in. I'm really interested in more stuff.
I am so you've enriched my life, Vader, by introducing me to South Korean, cinema and sci-fi. I love it, man.
So guys, check out All of Us Are Dead on Netflix. I think if you like zombie movies, if you like horror,
it's so
you're going to be into it. So.
And it's set mostly in like a high school. It's kind of very self-contained. So that was the thing I liked a lot. It's all kids dealing with there's not a single gun really.
And they do act like kids. While they're dealing with this.
And they look like kids too. I think they might have hired actual kids. You know what I mean? Not like we do in Hollywood where we hired 20 somethings to play 13 and 14-year-olds. Like these kids look young to me. I actually went to IMDb trying to go down the rabbit hole to see if I could find their ages. And like, they don't, like this Lee Yu Mi chick who was she was actually also in Squid Game. She's wow, you're right. I'm about to say the same thing. I can't tell which one she is. She looks like three different characters.
It's really hard. It's really hard because
really...
they all have like the same type of hair. They all dress the same.
Well, yeah. So I think
the uniforms don't help.
Well, that's what I loved about Squid Game is they gave them all numbers. Fuck, that made it so much easier because I just call them their number.
Well, also each actor in Squid Game was very distinctive. Every girl in this show, it's very hard to differentiate who they are.
There's at least three. There's the class president, who's really hard to differentiate from the chick in the pink sweater. Thank God she was wearing that, or the pinkish hoodie. And then there was the bitch in the pink sweater. Like there was like a few that look very, 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 very similar, but there were, there was the chunky one with the shorter hair, so I could tell her apart, but I still can tell you her name if you held gun in my head.
I don't know anyone's name in this show. Two episodes in, it's pretty bad.
You can't tell Jung Ho Park from Jin Lee Park. It's ridiculous. I don't know what's your guys' problem.
Hey man, this is you introduced me to this, so you're a little bit further along. Kind of like when you play a game, like it's I can't catch up to your level. Yes, it has.
South Korea's been putting out amazing content for many years. It's just becoming more mainstream here thanks to Netflix. Yes, and thank you to Netflix for that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy to be exposed to new content.
Old Boy's good. I've seen Old Boy. I love that the scene with the hall and the hammer. Shit is classic.
The host is pretty good too.
I actually haven't heard of that. I'll check that one out.
It's a monster movie.
Okay.
I haven't heard of The Good, the Bad, and the Weird, or The Wailing, or I'm a Cyborg. So we'll see. All right. Vader, is there anything else you wanted to say about this show before we move on?
No, man, not really. I'm looking forward to checking out the rest of the show. Like I said, it's 12 episodes. I'm only 2 in, so I got a lot of content left to get going on here.
I got one more question.
Okay.
For Kadish about this before we move on, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
As the writer and as someone who does like a show called Bad Writing and stuff like that, and the 2.5 episodes you've watched so far, I would really, because like I just want to know, like I'm afraid to put, I'm going to just step out on a limb here. I said a few times, man, I bet Kadish loves this show.
I wouldn't
How's
say
the
I
writing
love
to
it.
you?
I wouldn't say
I mean, I
love it.
love the writing in the show. Like, I don't know. I just felt like I've also seen 6 episodes, so maybe I should ask you this later, but I just felt like there was a lot of really good storytelling, world building, connective tissue, callbacks. I thought the cliffhangers, because they do multiple cliffhangers, were freaking amazing. So I know you've only seen one of them so far, but it just, like, without spoiling anything, you thought it went the opposite way, right?
No.
No, you didn't. Well, I'm a dumbass then. I thought it was.
Well,
I thought it went like.
I mean, like I was like, so if you're talking about the cliffhanger at the end of episode 2, I was like, if that actually happened, that took some balls. You know?
Yeah, that's where I ended.
But I was like, I know that more than likely they're not going to, get rid of this character at this point in time.
Right. I just love how, even though it is like a bingeable show, I still feel like they write. There's been at least 3 of these episodes, I believe, so far for me, and I'm done with 6. That it was like, be sure to turn in next week. Like they ended it perfectly. Even though it's not episodic.
I think that the whole concept of a high school science teacher creating a zombie virus to help his kid with bullying.
Okay,
and then keeping infected mice at the school when he knows how dangerous these things are,
right?
Stretches credibility a little bit, but it's Korea, so like what do I know? In terms of the writing, I mean, so far the writing's been pretty good. Dialogue not the best, but a lot of teen angst in the first episode. And there's actually not a lot of dialogue in this show. Sometimes they'll slow down the action so that characters have time to talk. And once you get to know some of the characters and they turn into zombies, you're just kind of like, oh, that's too bad. Like I'm gonna have to kind of see it as a whole series before I can really kind of judge like
no, for sure.
It was. But
for sure.
So I mean, so far, like I haven't really been finding too much wrong with it. So.
Did you watch it dubbed or subbed?
Dubbed.
Oh, bummer. So I was making it because I was explaining to Cece that I think I mentioned this in a previous podcast about Squid Game. So I watched Squid Game, like I binged it dubbed because I don't want to read. Normally, I know Vader. I remember Vader and I specifically having this conversation, and I went back and I watched a few of my favorite episodes after I was reading all the hoopla after how different stuff supposedly was through the translation, and I watched it in Korean with the subtitles. And enjoyed it a lot more. So I challenged Cece. So before I woke her up, I was watching it with subtitles because after having that last experience, I was like, screw it. Plus, it kind of makes you focus more. So I'm not like screwing around on my phone or doing something else.
So like, here's the thing though. Like I just finished the latest season of Narcos Mexico. And that's a show where like you have to watch it because everything's in Spanish pretty much. And so I just finished a long session of reading my TV shows. And I'm the kind of guy who, when I'm sitting on the couch, I want to be checking my phone and getting up and stuff. And so like,
totally,
when there's an English dub available, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do that.
No, totally.
Because I can be processing it while I'm doing other stuff.
No, totally. 100%. Totally. I'm just wondering if they'll be the same thing. Cause, so I was challenging Cece when she came out, we started watching it dubbed. Because she doesn't like to, she's like, I don't want to fucking read TV, and so then and then we switched it back because I also wanted to see. I was like, hey, remember that thing with Squid Game? I wonder if they're changing stuff, and it was pretty much exactly the same. So they either learned from Squid Game, or I don't know,
or maybe Squid Game was just too nuanced.